intake. But research shows that a high-fat diet can improve blood sugar, prevent disease, and preserve muscle. If you're trying to decide between a low-fat, high-carb diet or a low-carb, high-fat diet, it's easy to get confused since the science seems conflicting. Proponents of both diets are often dogmatic in their approaches to nutrition. During the second half of the 20th century, saturated fat was considered a dietary villain. Now, more studies suggest that carbohydrates are a significant factor behind the steady increase in obesity, not to mention the rise in diabetes and other chronic health issues. But obesity and disease are complex. No single variable can account for them. Is it possible that most pop science articles, and even many studies, miss crucial details when making their claims? Just because a diet works for weight loss doesn't necessarily mean it improves overall health, enhances brain function, or prevents disease. Read on to learn how to navigate the macronutrient maze and gain a clear idea of what type of diet will work for your body and goals. What defines a high-fat diet? Before you accept a statement on the effects of high-fat diets, make sure you understand how high-fat diet is being defined. It turns out that this term is thrown around with different and unrelated definitions. High-fat diets in studies. Researchers have studied so-called high-fat diets since the 1940s or even earlier. And the meaning of the term varies greatly. For example, a single study from 1967 defined high-fat intake as anywhere from 35 to 60% of daily calories. Some of the participants in the study were given nothing but corn oil as a fat source, which is hardly a realistic scenario or a healthy source of fat. Animal studies use the term just as loosely as human studies. A 2011 review of the effects of high-fat diet in mice stretched the definition to include diets containing 32 to 60% of calories as dietary fat. These high-fat mouse diets had different ingredients. Some of them contained soybean oil, while others used Crisco or other hydrogenated oils. Again, not the best sources of fat. Even recent human studies can't seem to decide on a specific definition of high fat. A human study published in 2017 called a diet containing 20% protein, 35% carbs, and 45% fat high fat. A different 2015 human study defined high fat as 55% fat and 30% carbohydrates. In the latter study, participants ate 2 sausage, egg, and cheese biscuits for breakfast. The bottom line is that researchers tend to label any diet with more than 25% of calories from fat as a high-fat diet. They also don't specify how many carbs the diet has. This has led the public, journalists, and even researchers to focus on fat as the main cause of adverse effects in studies. But the ratio of carbs to fats is important too. Quality of fat also matters a great deal. Crisco is quite different from wild-caught salmon. High-fat diets in real life. When people talk about a high-fat diet, they usually mean a low-carb, high-fat diet. A reasonable definition of a low-carb, high-fat diet is one that has fewer than 100 grams of carbs per day. Some scientists still use the terms high-fat diet and Western diet interchangeably. But the Western diet or standard American diet is full of processed foods that are high in both fat and sugar. That's not the same thing as a healthy low-carb, high-fat diet. Since this article isn't about the Western diet, the terms high-fat diet and low-carb, high-fat diet will be used interchangeably. What about the keto diet? The ketogenic diet is one that keeps you in ketosis by limiting carbohydrates. The most extreme version of the keto diet, mostly used for treating epilepsy, consists of 90% calories from preferably healthy fats. However, you don't have to eat that way to be in ketosis or reap other benefits. If you want to use the keto diet to lose weight, feel better, and improve your health, you can stick to these macros: 20 to 25% of your calories from protein, 5 to 10% of your calories from carbs, 70 to 80% of your calories from fats. Use the perfect keto macro calculator to figure out how many carbs to eat on keto. What defines a high-carb diet? As with high-fat diets, different researchers mean different things when they label a diet high carbohydrate. In some cases, scientists use the term without yet providing a definition at all. Because of the traditional dogma against fat, most studies pushing the benefits of high-carb diets refer to these diets as low-fat diets. Most low-fat diets include at least 50% of calories from carbs and 15 to 20% or fewer calories from fat. Also, most studies of carbohydrate-rich diets for weight loss involve restricting calories. Some high-carb diets include processed foods, grains, and sugar, while others limit carb sources to whole foods or whole grains. This article will use the terms high-carb diet and high-carb, low-fat diet interchangeably. Benefits and risks of a high-fat, low-carb diet. Remember that no diet is perfect for everyone. When you're considering the pros and cons of a high-fat, low-carb diet, you must factor in your own goals and health history to decide what's right for you. The benefits. Most benefits of high-fat, low-carb diets come from increasing fat oxidation, lowering inflammation, reducing appetite, and improving insulin sensitivity. When you restrict carbs and focus on eating healthy fats and protein, your body gets better at using fat for energy. Fat burning also increases the levels of ketones in your body. In addition to helping you lose weight, ketones are anti-inflammatory and help promote and G. Eating a low-carb, high-fat diet can improve your mood, energy, and sleep. When paired with exercise, calorie restriction, or fasting, this diet may work better. The risks. Despite the common misconception that fat makes you fat or that it increases your risk of heart disease, the risks associated with low-carb, high-fat diets have nothing to do with weight gain or heart issues. If you're overweight, insulin-resistant, or have type 2 diabetes, eating more fat may temporarily raise inflammation in your body. Elevated free fatty acids (FFAs) can turn on inflammatory pathways in people who struggle with obesity or insulin resistance and C. However, if you stay on a low-carb, high-fat diet, you may be able to reverse insulin resistance and C. Some people on a keto diet can even get off medication for type 2 diabetes. That said, temporarily eating a low-carb, high-fat diet and then eating lots of sugar can worsen the negative effects of carbs. If you start a keto diet or other low-carb, high-fat diet, commit to it. In sedentary people, eating high-fat meals without exercising or restricting calories may increase fat